'Tis the season to be spooky, fa la 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 la. Hi. Hello, it's the best time of the year. I love Halloween, I love October, I love autumn, fall, whatever you want to call it. So, I'm going to tell you, it was hot in that mask. I'm going to tell you about my favourite thing. Zombies. Right, what I'm doing in this video is I am hoping to convert some people, because when I say that I love zombie books, the amount of people that are like, what the fuck? And they just look at me like I'm weird and a creep and a psycho and a teenage boy, because they just don't get it. But I want to tell you, you will never in a million years believe this. If you said there is just Zompoc and that is it, and I was like, no, you could not be more wrong, because there are lots and lots of different types of Zompoc. So I want to do a couple of videos explaining about them in the hopes of dragging some people to this dark and petrifying side of fiction. And I'm going to start easy. I'm going to go easy on you to start with, and I'm going to start with YA. YA zombie fiction. There is so much of it out there, and it is incredible. But what I want to do is tell you about the top 3, either books or series of each type that I'm going to recommend. And the first one in the YA category is, you have to bear with me, this is not the first book. The first book is Feed. I don't own it yet. I thought I did, but apparently I don't. So this is the Newsflesh trilogy by Myra Grant. And in this one, we follow Georgia and Sean, who are brother and sister. The year is 2014. These two are bloggers. The zombie apocalypse has been and done, and society is sort of rebuilding around the zombies and, the infection. So these two have a very, very popular blog all about zombies, and it's kind of like a journalistic type vlog type thing, because Georgia, the girl, she writes a lot about politics and policies and the kind of more serious side of zombies, I think. But then Sean is more like an action adventure vlogger, and he films himself going out fighting zombies and getting close-up videos of them and things like that. And it's just an absolutely fantastic series. Now, the further into the series you go, it does get, for me, it felt very political, in that a large chunk, in fact almost all of the storyline revolves around elections and politics. But it is incredibly interesting. It really is. I'm not into politics at all, but yeah, I absolutely love this series. And it's not heavy on the go. It's a bit more, there's a bit of science in it and a bit of medical stuff. In fact, the final book is more medical than anything. But yeah, so it kind of covers a bit of every topic. But it is an easy read and they're very fast reading. Next up, another YA series that I absolutely loved, and it's really cheesy. It's the White Rabbit Chronicles by Gina Showalter. This one starts with Alice in Zombieland. And Alice is a teenage girl whose dad is a monster fighter, but nobody really believes him. He can see them, and they think he's actually losing the plot, because he's keeping his family, locked in the house, and they have to be home before dark, and they can't go out and hang out with friends, stuff like that. But when her dad dies, Alice discovers that these monsters are real, and it's got a very chosen one type trope, because she then kind of joins a group of zombie hunters, and she has these skills that wouldn't be natural to most people, and she becomes very good at zombie fighting very quickly. And there is this kind of like bad boy forbidden romance type thing in there with Cole, who is one of the other zombie fighters. I think there's about 5 books in the series. I think there's 3 main ones and then a couple of novellas in there. I read the whole thing within about 7 or 8 days. It was fantastic. Super quick read, really fun. And it's not very zombie gore. It's more about the relationships, the dynamics, the teen drama, stuff like that. So yeah, that is another easy introduction. And then we've got The Dead Sea Games by J. Whitworth Hazard. This is another YA book. It's again based after the zombie apocalypse has happened, and the society in Manhattan has learned to live, I think it's about 10 stories high in all the buildings. Like the bottom 10 stories are out of bounds because zombies are down there, or the flooring is like rotting away and you'll end up falling to the zombies kind of thing. So everybody lives up high, and everybody's fighting for resources, and the young people and the teenagers in this society, they've got like their own underground gladiator style fights going on, and other people who are also like a bit dodgy, they can go and bet on these fights. And these gladiator fights aren't just a normal fight, they are fighting against zombies. We follow a teenage boy called Jeremy, who has earned himself the nickname Death Wish, and that is because in these gladiator fights he takes on the biggest, most dangerous zombies that anybody can find to throw at him. And he's doing this to get resources, such as just basics like food for his mum and his friends. And there's lots of different gangs that have formed, and there's gang rivalry going on. Even within the gladiator fights, certain competitors from different gangs against each other and who can kill the zombies the fastest, things like that. But suddenly things start to escalate and bigger risks are having to be taken, and a common outside enemy shows their face and is putting the whole of society at risk. So these gangs have to get over their differences and try and work together to overcome this, this external enemy. I'm convinced that initially this was said to be a bit like a zombified Hunger Games, and I could see what somebody was saying because of the fighting and pitting different gangs against each other, but I wouldn't say that. However, I gave this 5 stars. I read it as an e-arc on NetGalley, and as soon as it was published, I purchased myself a physical copy. I loved it that much. It was really, really great. Again, not massive on the go. There is a bit in there. I mean, come on, it is zombie, but it's not huge. It's more about the people and the gangs and this enemy that they have to fight. And sticking with the easy stuff, I'm going to move on to, I've kind of decided there's a category of novelty type zombie fiction stuff. So the first one I'm going to tell you about is Infected by James Shanep. And this is one of those choose your own adventure books. I read this last year. I think it was the Pop Sugar Challenge, where where you had to read a book that was like a choose your own adventure type book. Obviously I searched for a zombie one, and it was really great fun. I died about 15 times before I finally gave up and stopped reading, but that's the fun of these books, isn't it? And it's literally just a zompoc, and at the end of each chapter you get a decision. Are you gonna stay where you are hiding and hope the zombies don't break down the door, or are you going to make a run for it? And obviously if you get caught, you're dead. So yeah, I really enjoyed that one. And then I've got this beautiful book, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. And it is, I've never read Pride and Prejudice. I don't do classics. They just don't go well for me at all. So I was incredibly surprised when I loved this. I loved it. And when I've talked about certain parts of the plot to somebody else that does read classics and has read Pride and Prejudice, they've said that it's very, very similar. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but yeah, it's very, very similar. So we follow the same characters, and it's set in whenever Pride and Prejudice is set, because I do not know. I'm that rubbish at this stuff. And the language is the same kind of language that would be in classics. Again, that was what really surprised me, that I was able to read this and have so much fun. And it just, I don't know what else to say. It's just so good. I just think it's just such a unique twist on zombie fiction. Like, and I know there's been other ones that are similar to this, only they're not zombies, so I've never bothered reading them. But yeah, this one was absolutely fantastic. And then there is a sequel to this, and it's called Dawn of the Dreadfuls, I think it is. And because that's what they call the zombies in this book, the Dreadfuls. Yeah, it's so much fun. And I would love for somebody who has read Pride and Prejudice to then read this one and tell me what they think of both and see if they do match up a bit. But then there's books like this. The Zombie Apocalypse, the Ladybird Guide. I mean, this is just great fun. It's just like, I mean, if you had the Ladybird books when you was a kid, you'll know that there's been like a resurgence of these, but with crazy titles like, you know, Guide to Brexit and stuff like that. But I just think they're brilliant. I mean, that man is waving, Dad, says Leo. He might need help. Take the controls, Leo, says Dad. We cannot be too careful. Katie is excited. Dad has never taken a headshot from this distance before. They're just so much fun. So yeah, so that is like the novelty type zombie books. Right, the next type that I want to tell you about, and there is a little overlap here with some other books, but I think there is a group of books in the zombie genre that are heavily kind of focused on the fact that the zombie apocalypse has already happened and society is rebuilding. So I would say this is like the post-apocalyptic group. And the first one I need to pick up for this is The Girl with All the Gifts by M.R. Curry. Now, this one follows a girl called Melanie. Melanie lives in like a special place. She doesn't know what it is, but as readers, we find out that it's like a military research type place. Melanie's kept locked in a cell, and every morning she is unlocked, her cell is unlocked, she's escorted to her classroom. She absolutely loves school, she does really well at it, she loves her teacher, and she talks about the things that she might want to do with her life when she grows older, but Melanie doesn't understand why her teacher becomes sad when she talks about those things. And well, it's probably because Melanie's a zombie and she's not getting any older. Melanie will be experimented upon by the military and the government if they can get to her. So this is definitely heavily focused on society rebuilding, learning about the zombies, trying to figure out how to live with them, or how maybe they can train them or tap into some kind of humanity aspect or something. And it is an absolutely fantastic book. There is a film of it. I wasn't keen on the film just because it seemed very low budget, but it just wasn't, I don't think it was very good. But the book is amazing. There is a sequel to this one. It's called The Boy on the Bridge. In fact, I think it's a prequel. It is a prequel. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. I read this years ago and loved it so much. I think this is one of the first zombie books that I ever read, actually. And then we've got The Forest of Hands and Teeth by Carrie Ryan. I have owned this book since, I think it's this time last year. I'm sure I got it for my birthday last year. And I still haven't read it. But I do still really want to. I just haven't got around to it. So, Again, this is post-apocalyptic and society are rebuilding. We have a small community that is kind of kept safe within this boundary, this fence. And beyond that fence is the forest of hands and teeth. So every member of this community knows, do not ever go over that fence, no matter what you do. So we follow a young girl called Mary who is living perfectly fine within this community. So within this safe community that Mary lives in, there are the sisterhood who kind of rule things, and then there are the guardians that protect everybody. Now, unfortunately, Mary uncovers some secrets about these two groups of people who are supposed to be doing what is best for the community. However, just as she uncovers these secrets, the fence is breached by the undead, and Mary has to decide, does she stick with this community even after all this stuff she's uncovered, or should she just leave and go to another future and see what's out there for her? So this one does sound really, really good. I've heard great things about it. There is a sequel, if not even, it might even be a trilogy, I'm not sure, but yeah, another good one. And the last type that I want to tell you about today is what I would call the reference section. Or, I know, like the kind of like textbooks, non-fiction guides, but obviously the fiction. I don't know, I have no idea how to explain them, but I'll tell you what I mean. So we've got stuff like this. The A to Z Guide to Staying Alive During a Zombie Apocalypse. This is, I'll admit it, I haven't read this. I had a quick flick through. And we've got things like the best type of camouflage, a section discussing cars and which would be the best type of car to go for, clothing, and what to do if you get bitten, how to do Morse code if the electricity is cut out and there's no phones, how to pitch a tent, what to do about building campfires, and it's just, so it's really, really cool, just like fun survival guide. It's obviously not a story, it's not something you would sit down and get your teeth into. See what I did there? But yeah, it's just something different, isn't it? It's just something fun. And then we've got Zombies from History. This is by Jeff Holder. I picked this up in a charity shop, and I put it on the desk, and they had different prices for fiction and non-fiction. And the person who went behind the desk at the till, she picked it up and she was like, Zombies from History. That's non-fiction, isn't it? I was like, really? Zombies is non-fiction? I don't know who the weird one is here, love, you or me for reading it, I don't know. But yeah. However, so it actually isn't about zombies. It's very, very short, kind of like a fact file type thing of different historical people, famous people. And it's got, so like say we've got Sir Walter Raleigh, and obviously like there's a picture of him looking like a zombie, but the information in the fact file is things like special skills, so what he did that made him famous, and then what killed him. And it's not fictional, it's not like, oh, he was killed by a bite to the neck or whatever. It's actually what they think killed him in real life. Where is he buried? And then we've got any kind of weaknesses or any physical problems, illnesses, disabilities that this famous person had, and any extra facts about the person, and if they have got any quotes that could be possibly used in zombie fiction. So it's kind of just a historical book about famous people, but yeah, it talks a lot about their death, and then there's a little tiny bit after each one saying, you know, if they came back as a zombie, how difficult would it be to kill them based on their special skills, age, health, etc, etc. So that's all the ones I want to tell you about today. So when I do the next video, I want to tell you about the remaining 4 types. Now these again aren't official, they are my personal opinion as to the type of book they are, and I'm going to go for ones that are very, very character driven, and the zombies are kind of like, you know, a subplot, or, you know, an aside, like just a little extra. And then we have got ones that are very military or survivalist based, then ones that are either very medical or very science based, and then the last one, you would never think that these existed, but comedy zombie fiction. It does exist. There are funny zombie books. So hopefully there's something there that you found a little interesting, something that might get you doing a little suchy on Goodreads. And let me know if you've read any of them, or if you think you might give any of them a chance. Please like, subscribe and comment below, and I'll see you in the next video soon. Bye.